So what is it? What is Alexandrian inhibition? Well, I always used to think I knew what this was. And then after enough decades, you realize, well, I'm never going to figure out what this is. But anyway, somehow I keep thinking about it. I'm getting closer, I think. Inhibition doesn't happen in time. So we use the words a lot, stop and pause. Now, the opposite of stop is go. It's like stop, go. Time is passing, right? Or you say pause, continue. That would be the opposite of pause. Pause, continue. That's temporal. I don't think inhibition is temporal. I think it's neurological. It's either on or off. It's not stop, go. It's not pause, continue. It's on, off. But on, off is kind of electric. Right? It's like you turn it off or you turn it on. It's kind of electrical, which is closer to like our nervous systems. And on, off can happen like like that. Just instant, right? You flick a switch, off. Wow, so fast. It's like it doesn't happen in time. Sometimes I say, be the stimulus you want to be. Just take that in for a second. Be the stimulus that you want to be. So many years ago, Erica Whitaker said to me, because I asked her, I said, Erica, what is inhibition? And she said, inhibition is decision. It's decision. It's deciding. It's sticking to your decision against a habit of life. Inhibition's decision, she said. If I decide to do this, I can't do that. It's interesting. It's like I never thought of it that way. And so then somewhat recently that came out of my mouth, be the stimulus I want to be. Could that kind of be a proactive way of talking about inhibition? Right? Imagine you're in a difficult situation. In fact, imagine it right now. You're in some difficult situation. You're with some difficult person, maybe. And then ask yourself, what would happen? You're in that situation. What would happen in this situation if I refuse to fight? No matter what happened, I'm refusing. I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to run away in any way. I'm not going to freeze. I'm not going to fidget. I'm not going to leave in any way, go unconscious in any way. I'm not going to feign or fake or fib or put on a facade. I'm just not. What would be left? Who would you be? How would you be in that situation? So, often in Alexander technique, we think about creating a space between a stimulus and a response. As like inhibition is, there's a stimulus and we habitually respond this way. And we want to kind of decouple ourselves, our reaction from the stimulus so that we're free to respond the way we want. But you know, that's really hard. Haven't you noticed how hard that is? Especially if you're up against a stimulus that is really difficult. No matter how long we've studied the Alexander technique, that it's gone, it's out the window when you're really up against a difficult stimulus, an illness, a difficult person, an intense fear. So given that that's, almost impossible, how do we work on inhibition, right? Like, how do we cultivate it? And then I think it's a matter of you have to become somewhat of a contemplative, like you need to meditate. You need to practice on your own. You need to be with yourself. You need to work on your own central mobile, on your own ability to turn off more deeply and more deeply and more deeply. And so that when you decide to go into a new situation, you can be the stimulus you want to be, because you're cultivating strong inhibitory power, because you work on it on your own, by yourself, when you take a walk, when you sit, when you do the laundry, when you're doing things that are not difficult, where you can cultivate inhibitory power, so that there's more of a chance that we're going to enter into a situation and be the way we want to be, right? And then we go in and we lose it. It's just too hard. And we go into our old thing, right? I said, oh, I can't believe it. I went into my old thing again. It's hopeless, right? And so then inhibition becomes about recovery, and then it's about, okay, turn off. I know how to turn off. I know how to, I understand this turning off neurologically. Yeah. And so then you use it to recover. So somehow this concept you need to get across. I work on this concept so much in my Grace of Sense class. I never use the word. It's almost all I'm teaching. It's almost all I'm teaching. When people who were trained classically would meet Marge, sometimes they say, Marge, you never teach inhibition. And she said, can't you see that is all I'm doing? I am doing absolutely nothing else. It's so interesting. I feel like that's really all I teach.